Well, hello there, folks. We're here to do another lesson. Okay, there I am. Put up annotation there. And we will be back here. There I am. More simple. So, yesterday we were doing databases. Okay. So, anyway. So, now, and yesterday we were doing databases, and we were getting results from a database, and we're using basically rs.next. rs.next will bring us to the next record. Okay. Now every result set starts off as at a position before. So now make sure you have XAMPP started. Okay. MySQL started. Make sure you have MySQL Workbench open so you can see. Okay. Now we were getting records from the Wordle database yesterday using this one. Okay. Now select all from country where continent is equal to Europe. Was that one we used? Let me just double check it. All right. So select all from customers. rs.next, what that does is, because every result set starts from before the first record, in the customers table is before this one. Okay, rs.next, what it does is it returns a Boolean, either true or false, and it moves you on to the next record. So this one here moves us on to the first record. Then if we want to get a column, rs.getString cust name. That is going, now if you're unsure, you need to know the data types of each of these columns. If you're unsure of the data types, you can use string. String will work for any data types. So rs.getString cust name will get us village toys. Okay. Now you can also use numbers. All right. rs.getString2. Now that will be column 2. Now it is 1, 2. It's not array numbering. It's already numbering. So column 2 is also village toys. Okay. Cust contact for the first row will be John Smith. And rs.getString column 8 is also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. So nothing too dramatic there. It's not too bad at all. Okay. Now we'll be doing all of these ones in later on, but rs.before first. Now each time you use a next, it's going to go to the next row if there is a next row. Now if there is no next row, it then goes after the result set. You can get no more records. So rs.before first, that is going to put us before the first record. So that puts us before this record here. Now, and our query, sorry, we'll select all from customers. So while there is a next record, all right, so this also moves us on to the next record. So it starts off before any of the records. This moves us to the first record. Then it'll get the customer name. It'll assign it to a variable called name. Prints it out. rs.getString1, that is going to get us from the first column. We're still on the first row, so that's going to be the customer ID. So it's the same as this guy down here. Now, I know that cust ID is actually an int, all right? But if you don't know what the data type is, you use getString. Okay, the recording went a bit gaga there. I don't know what happened. Right, so temporarily stopped. So I'm going to keep on going. All right, so cust ID, the ID is ID. All right, now, as I've said already, I know that cust ID is an int. Okay. If you try to use getInt on something that is definitely not an int, for instance, cust zip. Jesus, this thing is fucking. Okay, so for instance, cust zip. Now I can see that this is most definitely not a number. All right, that is a string. So if I try to use, all right. Yeah, the screen's just turning off here. All right. Now, so if I use rs.getInt cust zip, can't use that because that is not an int. All right. Now, what I've done here, I get each name, customer name, and I get each ID, and I put them in a hash map that's created here, integer string. And so that then, our hash map containing our customer ID is as follows. So I get all the records and I put it into a hash map. All right. Now, next one I did then was I created country objects. So country objects is here. It's got ID, string name, string continent, in population, double life expectancy, double area. Okay. And I'll go to my world table and I use country. All right. So if I want to see all of the countries, there's all the countries of the world. All right. So we're going to be using code. We're going to be using Afghanistan. We're going to use the name. We're going to be using continent. We're going to be using surface area, and we're going to be using population and life expectancy. Okay, that's what we're going to be using. So we're going to be using those variables to create countries. Okay. Now you could use a builder pattern or something like it, but so first thing I did was this is a list of all the countries of Europe. So it's a list of countries, and I called it countries Europe. All right. So 3 steps: create a connection, create a statement based on the connection, execute. So in this case, we're going to execute a query which produces a result set. Then we use rs.next to get results from the result set. Okay, so that's 1 step, 2 step, 3 step, 4 steps. So 4 steps to get results from a database. Now the query is a little bit more complicated. Select all from country where continent is equal to Europe, order by name. Okay, so this is going to get all the countries from Europe. Okay, that's called a where clause. As you can see, SQL is very, very English. Okay, then it's going to order them by name. So what order by name means that it's going to order them by the name column. What is the name column? The name column is all the names of the countries. All right. So now, so while rs.next. So this will create a country from the code, name, continent, population, life expectancy, surface area fields of each record for every country in Europe. So the country takes a string code, a string name, a string continent, a int population, a double for life expectancy, and a double for surface area. Okay, if you look at the country, you can see them there. All right. So all I'm doing is I'm getting the records for each row. I'm assigning them to country. So that creates a country. Then I add them to this array called countries Europe, add country. ResultSet rs.statement. Okay, countries Europe dot add country. All right. Let me just see. And then I got all the countries of Europe. I'll go up here. So it prints them all out. Okay. All the countries of Europe. It'll print off. This is a list. So it just prints off all the countries of Europe. And I can say how many countries are there in Europe? There are 46 countries in Europe. Right. Now, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a hybrid approach. So this is using MySQL to get all of the details. Okay. Now, that's fine. You can do that. But remember, each time you're accessing a database, it is going to be slower than if you have data in your temporary memory. All right. So I've done another approach. I did a basic query. I get all the countries. All right. And then I create a list of countries called country world. Okay. So this contains all of the countries of the world. Okay. I created it up here. Okay. I created all the countries of the world. All right. Then I performed stream operations on this. So first thing we could do, I want to get, so I'm going to show you here countries Europe.stream. I want to get all of the countries in Europe that has a population greater than 10 million. Okay, all you have to do is, this is a list that's being created from MySQL query up here. Okay, countries Europe.add country. And then, so I do stream operations in it. I filter it out. So this will only show countries in Europe with populations greater than 10 million. Okay. Now, I then come along and I'm going to, we have a very basic query that produced all of the countries in the world. Okay. And I put them into a list called country world. All right. Then I perform stream operations on it. Now this looks more complicated than it really is. It actually isn't that difficult at all. So country world.stream. So what does that do? Produces a stream of all countries in the world. Okay. So then I filter the stream of countries. So C is a country. So we go C.continent. Continent is one of the variables of the country class. So now I really should have made the continent an enum. I think that keeps repeating over and over and is spelling and is dependent on spelling. You should really make it an enum. Should have made it an enum, but that's neither here nor there. So C is a country. So if the continent of the country is Europe, include it in our stream. Okay. Now this is why streams are, I would say actually better than MySQL, honestly. So what I've done here is I've put it in a peak. Remember what a peak does? A peak is an intermediate operation. It's not a final operation. So it allows you to do things in the middle of a stream, and it's not the finish of a stream. Remember, a for each is a terminal operation, so it finishes. Peak is not a terminal operation. It's an intermediate operation. All right. So what it does is it peaks at the stream at this stage. And the stream at this stage contains all of the countries of Europe. Okay. So what we ask it to do is, if the population, if the country has a population of 10,000, it prints it out. Okay. If the population is less than 10,000, it just prints off, this is a country in Europe. All right. Now, this doesn't change the stream. This merely looks at the stream as it is at this stage. And at this stage, this stream has all the countries in Europe. Okay, I'm after disappearing there. Okay, how could you be me without my lovely face? Okay. So, this guy here. So this will just print off. Now, it doesn't change the stream. When it gets to here, it still has all the countries of Europe in it. Now, we filter, so this will print off all of the countries with a population of 10 million. And I could create a list here that contains all of the countries with populations less than 10 million. You could put them into a list there. Okay, I did it here. So you could do that inside there. All right. Now, if I then I filter the stream to only contain countries with populations greater than 10 million. So this will print off here all of the countries with the population of 10 million. And what does this produce? Okay, so it produces okay, so the first way we did it produces this, okay, and it'll only print off the countries that have a population greater than 10 million. Okay, the second one we have to do using the stream, right? So we can see the country in Europe, Spain, has a population of 10 million. Then it says the country in Europe, Faroe Islands, the country in Europe, Gibraltar. This is a country in Europe, Svalbard, and that's up in Arctic Circle. There's a country in Europe, Ireland. Now they're all countries, the population less than 10 million. When it comes to Italy, that has a population more than 10 million. So streams allow you to do more. All right, streams allow you to take a basic MySQL query that contains everything, and you can filter down the results. Now you can use MySQL queries to filter down the results, but you can also use streams. All right, so you can, all you need to know really is a very, very basic level of MySQL. You basically just need to know the tables you have to access the information on. Then you can filter it down. All right. Okay. Right. Now, so we are going to go on to EX3. Okay. So we got static void EX3. Now, so we're going to go try, and we're going to go connection. Now this is connection con is equal to connect. And we're going to connect to the Wordle database. And then we're going to catch SQL exception. And we're going to say SQL. And I'm going to say connection failed in EX3. Exception there, so we know what it is. Right, now, so what is this doing? Creating connection world database. Okay. And inside here, we're going to create a statement based on the connection. Is equal to con.create statement. And then we're going to create a result set based on the statement. Okay, result set that runs a query is equal to stmt.execute query. And now we're going to use a slightly different MySQL query. So if I go select count country, I just want to check this in MySQL. I think I made a mistake there. So here is the Wordle database. Now in MySQL, you have to say which one you're using. So if I say select count from country, oops, I run this guy. Right, now, it doesn't work because you have to say count all. Isn't that it? Doesn't work either because you have to go Select count all from country. Shit, I was forgetting how to do it. Fucking hell, I should know this. Let's see, count. That's it. Spaces do make a difference. Shit. Okay, so what does this do? This will count the amount of rows in it. Now, again, you could use the count function in streams to do this. All right. You could use the count function. Is it count? Yeah, it is count. You could use the count function. So I'm going to be doing this, but I'm also going to show you in streams how to do it. So you can also get the maximum, max, min, sum. Okay. So there's max, min, and sum. So select count, select max, whatever. Okay. Now, so this exact SQL works in Java. Okay. So it is select count. Now that is all from country. Okay. Now what does this do? This returns the amount of countries in the country table. Okay. This will return only one row, and it will contain number. It's 239. Okay, it's 239. Number 239. Right now, whenever you're using count, you're always going to only have one row. All right. So whenever you're using count, you're always going to have. Whenever using the MySQL command, count, sum, min, max, you will only have one column. Now you can use it in conjunction with other, but for our purposes, you're always going to have just one column and one row. Okay, so we don't have to use a loop because we're not going to have multiple rows. Okay, all we have to use is an if statement. So if rs.next. Okay, and we just go here. Amount of countries in database is, sorry, in country table plus, oops, rs.get int. No, because count will always return an int. Okay, count always returns an int. 1. So that should give us, oops, ex3. $239. Okay, and of course you could assign that to. You could assign that to a. So I'll just change that a bit. You could also assign it. So I say create the variable outside of it here. Int country sum country int, and then we go country int is equal to rs.get int. Okay, right. So no biggie there. Right. Now I'm going to show you a more complicated query. Okay. Now, will you need to know these complicated queries? No, you won't. All right. I'm just showing you what is possible to do. Now, what I'm going to do as well is that each one of these, now I haven't done out yet, I'm going to do the equivalent with streams. And actually, I think streams are actually easier than MySQL, right? So now I haven't that done out yet, so that will probably have to wait until tomorrow, all right? Now, so I am going to create another I'm going to create another query. So rs is equal to stmt is equal to, is equal to stmt.execute query. Now, this is a lot more complicated. Okay, select name population from country where population is equal to blah, blah, blah. No, I should be able to put this directly into my SQL. Now I'll have to change it a bit. Okay, so I need to select. Let me just see this right. Now, select name population from country where population is equal to select max population from country. Now, this is something called a nested query. You're not expected to know nested queries in the exam. I'm just showing you can do more complicated queries. Also, this is using max. Okay, this is going to get the country with the max population. Now, let me just see, does this work? Now, this should be China. Ooh. China. Okay, so that's what's been produced. All right, so you're selecting more than one thing. Select name, population from country, where population is equal to select max population from country. Now, we're selecting, it's still only one row. All right, so put it in here. Okay, so this is a more complex nested query, although you will not be expected to know complex nested queries for the exam. You will be expected to know that if you have the max MySQL, if you have the max MySQL statement, this produces only one record. Okay, this selects the name of the country, the population of that country with the highest population. Okay, when you're doing MySQL queries, you can select more than one column. Okay, hold on a minute. Now, so there we are. Sorry about that. So now we're going to select the name column and the population column. So when you're just like in every programming language, when you're selecting a list of anything, what do you separate them? You separate them with a comma. So select the name column and the population column from the country table where the population is equal to. So what this is doing here, it's so you've query select max population from country. the next population from the country we have previously seen is, put in here, that number. So I will see, can I copy this directly into a thing here? Okay, which is China, and it's got a population of 1.2 billion. Okay, 1.2 billion. All right, now the key here is max. When you're using max, that means only one record. Okay, only one record. So this is one row, record with 2 columns, fields. Okay, so that produces a so then we can just say print out here, country with the highest population is, we go rs dot get string, and we're going to get a column index 1. So this is going to be the name of country, and that population is rs.get int. It's going to be 2. Now I could also go, I'll change that to population. I'll mix and match them. You normally wouldn't do that. You normally, if you're happy with one of them, if you're happy using numbers, use numbers. If you're happy using string, use strings. All right. Personally, I prefer to use strings. All right. Now, put that out. Oh, balls. Okay, right. Now I need to go, sorry, if rs.next. So if it has an x value, I have to put these guys inside here. Okay, so the country with the highest population. So you only use these, and if rs.next, if you know there's only one record. If you use max, min, sum, or count. Okay, if you use max, min, sum, or count, if you use any one of those ones, that means one row is produced. So you can use rf.next with that one. Okay, now I want to get the country with the lowest population. Okay, so it's going to be this one. What we do, select min. Okay, so we use the MySQL function. Okay, to command the lowest population, we use the MySQL function min. So we've already used max, we've already used count. Here we're using min. So select name population country where population is equal to blah blah blah. Now could be Vatican. We'll see what it is. All right. We won't bother running it in MySQL. So I'm going to say if rs.next. So country with the lowest population is, I don't know, I go rs dot get string name, that population is rs dot get int population. Antarctica, of course. There is no citizens of Antarctica. Forgot about that. Now, so if we want to use sum, now, so I am going to the total population. Okay. Now, this is the command for that. So rs is equal to stmt.execute query. Now, you won't be expected to write queries yourself, but you won't be expected to be able to read that. Select name population from country. Population is equal to select max population from country. That isn't that hard to read. All right. Select name population from country where population is equal to select min population from country. Okay, that's a nested query, it's called. You could just go select min population from country, but that'll just get you the minimum population. I want to get the name of the country. Okay. So this one here is going to be select sum. What are we summing up? We're summing up a population column from country. Okay. Now, I am going, so it is greater than 2.4 billion. So if it's greater than 2.4 billion, I'm going to store it in a long. Population. Population is equal to 0. Okay, so if rs.next. So I am going to go population. Now I'm storing it in here is equal to rs.get. Now I know this returns a long. Okay. Ints and doubles and all the rest don't really exist in, well, they do. But the likes of sum returns a number. Doesn't matter if that number is less than or greater than 2.4 billion. All right. It's just a number in MySQL. So it's not, because MySQL is something called a loosely typed language. All right. Syntax doesn't matter as much as in Java. So, but to store this, it has to be a long. Okay, there's my mother trying to figure out her new phone. I have to go out to her, so hold on a second. Okay, so now rs.getLong. Okay, now I know this is greater than 2.4 billion. So now what we're going to do, we're going to get to the first column. Now, as I said, whichever one you prefer to use, whether to use strings or whether to use numbers, it's up to you. But I'm going to keep mixing and matching them so we can get used to them. Okay, so rs.get long. So this produces one number. Okay, this produces one number. I want to store it. So population of the planet is plus population. Ta-da, 6 point. Now there's a lot more than that, the planet now. So, so the total population of the planet using sum from MySQL. Okay. There is another one I forgot to do as well. Count, sum, min, max, avg. Avg does what you think it does. It's average. Okay. So I'm going to get the average population of a country, the average population of a country using the using avg for MySQL. All right, so we go here, rs is equal to stmt.execute query, and we're going to select avg population population from country. So I don't know what the average population is. So again, I use if rs.next, and I will go. It'll be an int, will be fine, because none of them will go about. It won't go about 2.4 billion, because that's the highest, or the highest population 1.6 billion. So we get int average av pop is equal to rs.get int, should be an int, rs.getInt population. Here, average population is the POP. Okay, it's not population. Yeah, column 1.
I suppose there's nothing you needed else, I think that's it.
Okay, Darren.
All right, so I got this.
Okay, that was phone call's been done. All right, so the average population is now, I can't say, okay. All right, so I'll just go to here, and I am going to put in a query. All right, now I can't use, you can give the names to the columns, okay? So yeah, I knew there's a reason. There is a reason why it's better to use numbers than the actual name of the columns, because you can actually give the names, columns a name, right? If you don't give the columns a name yourself, you're not guaranteed the name is going to be. So see what happens with MySQL? It gives the name of avg population, all right? So that's why it is better to use numbers than it is to use column names. Why? Because column names can change. All right. So rs.getInt1, that's going to be the average population. Okay. Now I'm going to, let me just see what else. So I have dates left to do, which is grand. And then go through all the various columns, or all the various commands, such as previous, such as relative, such as get first, last, so on and so forth, which are fairly basic enough. And I'm also going to do a lesson where we're going to, instead of using these guys, we are going to use streams to accomplish the same thing. Okay, so I'll just pause this for a bit because I have to get the dinner ready. Okay, so right, here we are again. Yeah, so we're going to go into static void ex4. Okay, just as well, in the meantime, I've also done this. All right, I implement comparable. Remember that? If you implement comparable, that means you can use sorted, the sorted method, streams.sorted. Remember those? So also can be put in a tree set. Now you have to say what they're going to be sorted by. So we can see here that it's sorted by name. Okay, so now this is going to be, can you sort it in stream? This will sort them by names alphabetically. Okay. Now, the reason I did that is because I want to use sort it in streams later on. Okay. All right. And just to show you what I did there as well, in EX2, I just added another method here. Okay. So countries Europe dot sort it. So it sorts it by name. Okay. So now these are going to be sorted by name. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So now we're going to go down to EX4. All right. So this is going to be static void EX4. So this is all about dates and times. And just two more of them to do. Okay. So this is about dates and times. Nothing new here, just showing you how we deal with it. Okay. So what we're doing is we're getting the date. Okay. So we're going to use the, so again, we need to get a connection, try connection con is equal to connect me, and we're going to connect it to my database. Okay, and we're going to catch an exception. Connection failed in EX4. So we make a connection, then from the connection we make a statement object. Statement. And from that we create a result set. So now, first thing we're going to do is we're going to get order. All right, so this is in my databases. So how did I do that? I went to my database, right-clicked on it, select rows limit 1000. Okay, so there we are. You can see we have dates. Jesus, those dates would want to be updated, wouldn't they? 2012, 8 years ago. Jesus. Okay, but I don't care what dates they are. They're just dates. All right. Now, so this is the column we're going to get. So we're going to go. So we want to just select one column. So we want to select the order date column. So we go down here. Okay, so we are selecting dates from the orders table in the order date column. Okay, how many of them is in it? There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 dates. Okay. So we go. Okay, sorry about that. I had the video paused. Okay, I'll pause it again actually. So sorry, I didn't start the recording. Okay, so I've done a bit of typing there, talking to myself. All right, now, so what I'm doing is I'm getting a date from a column. What column am I getting it for? This is in my database, it's in the orders table. So I just want to select order date. Okay, so if I want to select, so what I'm going to produce, I'm going to say order date. If I run this, that's what we're going to produce. Okay, so only one column is being produced. All right, only one column is being produced. So now this is the MySQL datetime data type. Okay, now MySQL datetime data type is made up of date and time. Now, if I seem to remember, there is a MySQL date type. There is a MySQL time type. think. I'm open to correction on that. All right. But this is the MySQL date time type. Okay. Now, so we want to select the dates from our order table. We want to select the order date from orders. It's going to produce that. Okay. Now the result set is going to contain MySQL date types. All right. Now they don't translate directly into local dates and local times, unfortunately. All right. Now remember, this guy only produces one column. Produces 5 records and one column. Okay. Now, so produces one column. Select order from. That's why. So I can now. So rs.getDate. What that returns something called an SQL date. All right. You can't translate directly to a local date or local time. So I don't want to import this library because I don't need it. All right. So what you need to do is you get the date from that guy. So sorry, you get the date from that guy. How do you get the date from that guy? You get the date from that guy. So this is a way to define a object of type SQL.date without importing the whole library. I don't want to import the whole library. I don't need it. I'll be only using this once. So it's an object of that package, that class. Okay. Inside the Java package, inside the SQL package, there's a class called date. Okay. And SQL date, if I go rs.getData1, that's going to get from the first column. First time, isn't it? The first column, first row. Going to get the date. So this will get this. Will get the date from the order date column, which contains a MySQL date time data type. Okay. Now, so similarly, this will get the time from the order date column, which contains a MySQL date time data type. Okay, you can't translate directly to a local date time. As far as I know, you can't anyway. Okay, you could do this. Just leave it alone like it is for now. So rs.getTime1. All right. So then we convert it from a SQL so we go SQL date dot to local time. Okay. We go local time is equal to SQL time to local time. Okay. So we then convert from a SQL time to a local time. Now they're all 0. Okay. They're all 0. So date is date, time is time. Okay. Now you could put all of this in one line. You could say local date. So let's say if I comment out this line. So I could do this. Now this is too long if you ask me, but you can do this. So you could say java.sql.date. Sorry. rs.get date 1.to local date. Okay. Right, so we do it over one line. Okay. So but instead here we use one line of code to accomplish getting a local date from A, getting a local date, use one line of code to accomplish getting a local date from a MySQL date time data type. Okay, and here we are using second line to convert a SQL SQL.time object to a local time. Okay, so we do, let's put this guy down here. So here we use two lines to accomplish getting time from a MySQL.time object. Okay, because rs.getDate one returns a MySQL dot date object. Then we call the to local date method of the MySQL.date class to convert this to a local date. Okay, so this is converting from the MySQL. Here we are getting time from MySQL time object. This creates a MySQL. Creates an SQL.time object. This SQL.time object calls to local time, which returns a local time object. Fucking phone's going off all over the place. So, just a friend of mine called outside the window there, but I haven't. He's working places, so we had a COVID chat, as we'll say. He was 10 foot away from me in the car, and I was talking to him in the car window. So sorry about that. I'm just going to get this bit finished. That's all I'm going to call it a day then today. I intended to get all of this section finished, but obviously not now. So I'm showing you how you can get the date. All right. Now, if you want to get the date time, all right, if you want to get the date time, you have to use something called an SQL timestamp. Okay. So if you want to get the time and date, you have to use the SQL timestamp. So it's the, God, this is a fucking, so it's SQL dot timestamp data type. Okay. So where you have here, you have java.sql.time, or here you have SQL dot, sorry, take this out. SQL. So SQL, so we can see here java.sql.time, SQL time. You could also go the java.sql.date, SQL date is equal to rs.getDate, and then you go SQL date to local date. Okay, but I'm going to do it here. So we go java.sql.timestamp. Okay, timestamp is for dates and times. So I'm going to say SQL timestamp. It's going to be the name of the data type. It's going to be rs.get timestamp. One. Okay, so what column are we getting it from? We're getting this column here. And then we convert it to a local date time. So we go local date time. And I'm going to say date time. I need to import this guy. Is equal to SQL time stamp dot to local date time. And we go SYSO. I go local date time for this entry is, we go here plus date time. Okay, there they all are. Now you can truncate this to one line. All right, so you could do date time is equal to rs.getTimestamp rs.getTimestamp one dot to local date time. Okay, that will get us the same thing. Okay, this is the same as above, truncated to one line. Okay, so rs.getTime returns an SQL timestamp. Okay, so then we go to local time, changes it to a local date time. Okay, now that's all I have time for today. I intended to get the last section done here as well, and I intended to get the section where we're going to, from EX3, I'm going to accomplish all of this by using streams. Okay, so apologies for not getting this finished today, but I will get section 10.3 finished tomorrow, and that then just leaves us with section 10.4, which is very short. It's closing database resources, which we have been doing all along. Okay, nothing to it. Okay, and then there is just additional database stuff that isn't really on the exams at all. It's to do with using something called a data source factory. Okay, it's basically, instead of having, so I previously showed you how to connect using a DB properties. You can also hold all these properties in a class. Okay, and it's called something called a data source. All right. So anyway, that's that finished for today. I'm going to stop the recording, and I shall see you all. Now I'll try and get, so I'll get 10.3 finished tomorrow, and I'll do 10.4. 10.4 is very easy. So that means by Monday, we should have all of it done, everything finished. Now I am going to do a Zoom meeting next Tuesday. I'll put notification on WhatsApp, those that haven't seen this video. So I intend to do a Zoom meeting Tuesday because I need to have a chat with you about a couple of things. All right, nothing major. It's just about questions and the potential, the course could be potentially starting again in May. Now it'll be all online, okay? So I'm thinking maybe the second or third weekend in May. Second or third week in May, good start. Okay. All right, so I shall see you again tomorrow. Well, I won't see you, you'll see me. Okay, so toodle pip, cut out.